Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Null Knives prototype Raiden, made by Riot. This is a really cool knife. A lot of you guys are thinking, that looks really familiar. Didn't we see that on your 2021 Knife of the Year video as one of the candidates? Yes, you did. This is a prototype, and it's coming soon. Null Knives actually made this really easy on me, so this is not going to be a super lengthy video. Keep in mind, this is a prototype, right? So there is going to be a final version of this, and what you're looking at right here is not the final version. First off, I'm going to tell you guys, if you want information, you're definitely going to want to go to the Null Knives website, and I would also suggest that you follow Null_Knives on Instagram. This is going to be limited to, I believe, 200 knives, this first run of it. I'm also going to show you guys real quick, just to save some time. These are the different configurations that this knife will be offered in. I'm sure a lot of you who are familiar with Riot, you're looking at those prices, and if you're like me, you're thinking, wow, that's pretty good for a Riot. I'm actually really impressed with the pricing. We're going to talk all about the knife. You guys can go back and pause that if you want to. Yeah, he included actually the revisions, the things he plans to change. And so a lot of the bulk of my normal review is going to be taken out of this. This is going to be pretty straightforward. So thank you very much, Null Knives. I actually really appreciate that. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. There's going to leave a link for Patreon right down below. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. Overall length of the Null Knives Raiden, which I just love, being a Mortal Kombat fan. I don't know if that was the inspiration behind it, but I like the name. 7.75 inches overall with a 3.25 inch blade and about 3 1/8 on the cutting edge. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons here up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and its little brother, the Ontario Rat Model 2. Can we scoot this guy down? I think we can. There we go. So you can see here, it's a little bigger than the Rat 2, quite a bit smaller than the Rat 1. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? You can see here, much closer to the size of the Para 3, still a little bit longer. Last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Bug Out. Very close to the same overall length as the Bug Out, a little bit meatier in the handle scales for sure, and in the blade. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. So thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here it's just about the same thickness. As far as I understand, he's not planning on changing these dimensions. So this is probably what you're going to be looking at. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3, which are, I believe this is also not going to change. You're looking at just a hair longer than the Para 3, just a hair longer, and definitely shorter than the PM2. Nowhere near as tall though. So if you enjoy carrying either of these knives, and it's legal for you to do so, then you'll probably have a good experience with this guy. It depends on, it depends on your experience. Let's go ahead and do, let's do a hardware check. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the part of the description that talks about the tools that I use. This is going to be T8 right here. We have a T8 pivot. We're going to talk about that pivot. It's really cool. We have the T8 lock bar insert. We have T8 body screws, and I'm guessing and hoping the hidden screw holding in the pocket clip, which is probably underneath the backspacer, is also a T8. If not, oh well. You don't have to remove it necessarily. T8 hardware, minimal hardware, nice. Thank you for doing that. Very cool. And if you saw the part of that, the bottom of that readout earlier, you'll note that he is offering additional hardware. You can purchase for $10 if you decide to pick one of these up, which is cool. No, I have no affiliate program worked out with this guy. No, I get no kickbacks. I don't even get to keep the knife. The knife's going on to somebody else. All that information is just for your information. He was just kind enough to let me take a look at his prototype. So anyways, let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness on this guy. I don't believe the blade stock thickness is going to change. I think he said the thinness, like the behind the edge thickness, is going to change. 135 or so thousandths. Not too thick, not too thin. I think that works just fine considering the height of the blade. Weight. This is going to change just a little bit. We'll talk about that. You can see in here it is milled out. Apparently he plans, it's actually quite heavily milled. Can we see the inside? Yeah, I'm sure you guys can probably see that. Both sides. Plenty of milling on the inside there. Apparently he plans to do some more. So it'll be a little bit less than whatever it comes in at here. Sorry, restarting that. 3.88 ounces. So, you know, pretty good ratios. Like, I guess I can see why he wants to reduce it a little bit to kind of meet the demands of the utmost particular knife folk, right? So, yeah, for me though, I'm fine with it the way that it is. There's a lot of stuff about this knife that I'm fine with the way that it is. It's actually really funny. Anything that I could critique, he's ahead of me. This guy's an engineer, and I should have read a little bit more. His name is Sean from New York, and he's an industrial engineer. Picked up his first knife, I think he said in 2015. It was a Benchmade Griptilian, and that sent him over the edge. It's always nice to hear an origin story, right? So yeah, it's just always been really fascinated with knives, and obviously very particular, because as I've been carrying this for a little over 2 days now, almost 3 days, and anything that I could critique, that's when I went back and looked. I noticed, by the way, Sean, you had a revisions page, and I thought, I want to carry this first and experience it before I read his revisions, and then let's see if we meet eye to eye. So I didn't have nearly as many critiques as he did for his own design. I only had a few. He had already covered those, and he had a couple of additional ones. So that's why, when I say he did a lot of this for me, you know, that's what I mean. It made this really easy. Anyways, have we done everything there? I think that we have. Let's go ahead and move into the meat and potatoes of this review. Boy, this is a good looking knife. So it'll come in 3 different configurations. There'll be like a black washed handle with a belt satin blade for $2.99. You can do a blue, anodized blue frame and a black washed blade for $2.99. I think Levon from the Knife Nuts podcast on Instagram has that one right now, so you can check that out. Or my personal favorite, this guy right here that's all stonewashed with a beautiful, oh God, that is so good. This looks so much better, in my opinion, than a satin finish, and it's always less expensive. I just love this finish. It's so perfect. This is how you do a stonewashed finish. This is beautiful. Riot does a great job with that. It really just looks like Riot, that high polish but still stonewashed finish that wears really well as you use this thing. It will mask scratches and things like that. It's just fantastic. I love the knurling on the pivot that's present on both sides, and then he's also got it on the inside of the lock bar relief. I love that. No double clutch, very smooth, just a little bit of encouragement. Very easy to do the reverse flick. By the way, the detent, nice and clicky. Click, that's what I like to see and feel and hear. Nice snap on deployment. One of the first critiques that I had was, the thumb studs are in the right place. They're just a little bit small, a little bit pokey. He's covered that, actually. He detailed exactly, like a whole diagram of how I was going to change this. I was like, okay, that's clearly something. He plans to make it shorter and fatter, which I think is a good idea. Bit more comfortable, right? Said fatigue your finger after a little bit. He knows people are going to sit around and play with this, which is, yeah, that's what people are going to do, right? So that's cool. In this case, we have enough of a cut into both sides of like the show side scale and the lock bar that it doesn't need to be cut lower in this side. As long as there's a big enough gap and it's cut substantially enough on either side to get your finger in there, you can still kind of have that side approach to the lock bar that I prefer over the straight down. That's kind of annoying, right? These areas in here, all of the areas where your hands are actually going to interact with the knife are nicely knocked down, despite the fact that it looks really angular. Now, he had pointed out the tip of the pocket clip. I think one of the things that he said was that the tip of the clip will be rounded slightly. Apparently, he's going to knock that down a little bit. And then a surprise one for me, the jimping right here, which I think it's okay, but I get why he wants to change it. He wants to basically close the gaps between some of these jimps and deepen the grooves so that you have more gripitude, as Nick Shabazz would put it, more engagement with the thumb, which I think is cool. That's something that I probably would have overlooked, to be honest. But he's paying attention, so maybe he should review knives. Let's see here. The other thing. Oh, yeah. He said that, to my surprise, now that I've waited, I guess I kind of understand. He's going to add additional weight reduction. So some people are going to care. Some people aren't. I think people who are obsessed with ratios, like blade to handle ratio or overall length to, blade length to weight ratio, like the whole ounce and inch thing, I think they'll be a little happier with that, right? So yeah, ergonomically, very comfortable. You can get 2 fingers, this area right here, 2 fingers comfortably in there if your hands are the size of mine, and then the rest of your fingers fall comfortably right here. Definitely can get a full 4-finger grip. This is in the standard position with your thumb resting behind that harpoon notch. You can also choke up on it a bit. Now, this is the other thing that I would have critiqued, but again, he beat me to the punch. This area is going to be extended. I would have said, I would have liked it if it was just cut out a little bit further. Apparently, this area is going to be slightly extended, which I think is a good idea. Also, because it's ever so slightly, the thumb stud is ever so slightly in the cutting path. So even if he makes these thumb studs a bit wider, I think the change that he's going to make to the choil area will still clear the thumb stud. In any case, it's a pretty minor complaint, right? Boy, this blade is good looking. Oh, yes. The flat on this guy running out about 65 to 70% the length of the blade. Nice swedge up here. Love this harpoon notch, obviously, because it's tumbled everything nicely knocked down. Can't speak for the satin finished versions. They might be a little bit different. There's plenty of room for it to drop down to the cutting edge, which is reasonably thin. When I say reasonably thin, right, I mean, his own paper says it's about 25, what, I think he said 25 thousandths behind the edge, and he wants to reduce it to 19 thousandths behind the edge. So that, to me, normally I would say anything between like 22 and 25 or so. A lot of people say that's thick behind the edge. There's a lot of folding knives out there that are substantially thicker behind the edge than 25 thousandths. This is just fine for EDC, but he's going to make that thinner. So those of you who really enjoy laser beaming your material in half will probably be happy that, to hear that he's going to try and reduce that thinness behind the edge. The edge itself is done very well. It feels very similar to other Riat done edges that I've handled, and that means very sharp, very sticky, right? Very consistent. The final cutting bevel looks good, right? There's no weirdness going on or no goofiness or no, like out of place scratches, or we don't have any differences in sort of height or depth of the final cutting bevel. It's fine. It's great. Very handsome. I love how we've kept everything off of the blade. Excuse me. There's nothing, no markings or anything like that. What's the blade material? It's M390. So that's fine. M390 in titanium, we're definitely used to that. So that's fine. I don't have an issue with that at all. Like I said, love how he's done knurling on the pivot hardware. There's just a nice touch. Nothing functional there. It's just a nice touch. Seating of the hardware. I like how he's done this area right here, this center area. This is contoured, this area right here, and then it sort of slants, and then he's got it lipped right here off the area that's contoured. This is knocked down, right? It sort of comes back here to meet this corner, and then he's got another area right here, and then these edges are also knocked down. So again, it looks like a super angular knife, but it's actually really, really comfortable. The only edge that feels a little bit sharp in the whole thing is the tip of the pocket clip and perhaps back here, but your hands never, unless you're like, I'm going to drive the blade into some, solid surface with the palm of my hand. If you find yourself in a position where you're doing that with your knife, stop. So moving on here, the pocket clip is a 3D machined pocket clip, which it's interesting. It curves backwards. Now, carrying it though, in and out, you guys can't see me carrying it. Yeah, it works. I'm not sure of the difference. It's just the angle that the clip is. I mean, I'm still pushing the knife up against the back seam of my pocket, but the clip works, right? And it's interesting that the clip also, I think aesthetically, I would have preferred that the clip follow the rest of the knife, the lines of the rest of the knife. So it would be like over here. Maybe it could stay back here and just follow this curvature. For whatever reason it curves this way, it doesn't really hurt anything. It's just visually, the lines don't go, like every other line on this knife goes the same way, or it's part of this, this whole thematic flow. Does that make sense? Am I painting a good picture here? It's weird. It's fine. It doesn't really bother me that much. It's just an odd choice. I love how we've done the lanyard thing. Oh, it's completely out of the way, and it works perfectly. Lanyard people can't complain or whine or cry, right? Stop making a second to the pocket clip. You're not second to the clip, but you have your own space over here, so the pocket clip can do its own thing. Perfect. I love that. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to squeeze some 550 through there, but you can do it, right? Nice continuous rise in the end of the clip, and it's nice and flat on top, so not really an issue there ergonomically. Like I said, he's going to knock down that tip. Steel lock bar insert, doubling is the over travel stop. There is a stop pin right back here. We're engaging 25%. Absolutely no blade play up, down, left, or right, which is the case with pretty much every re-out I've ever handled. Blade centering is perfect. No detent lash. No pivot lash. No blade play, like I said, whatsoever. I really like this. This is real. I've had a great carry experience with this. And it's like I said in that video, the 2021 Knife of the Year video, which this didn't win because I just couldn't give it the mid-range award because this was a prototype. I knew that there was going to be an altered form, right? Still one of the coolest things, just this prototype form is still one of the coolest things that I've handled in 2021. One of the best designs that I've handled. And it's, truthfully ready to go with 0 revisions as it is. So many people would be happy with this, especially considering you are getting Riot level production quality, right? Now I understand not everybody wants to buy, from anywhere else besides the US, and that's fine. You make your own choices, right? Everybody's on one side of the fence or the other. We're probably just going to keep doing what we're doing. That's fine. Those of you who are aware of Riot's manufacturing quality, what you're getting, right, what they normally charge for this type of stuff, I think 200, what do we got here on the base price again? Is it $285? Wow, are you serious? Yeah, that's a no-brainer for me. I have many Riot knives, and I will continue to buy them, but every Riot that I own is quite a bit more expensive than this, and this is still exhibiting the same quality. The fact that we're going to get an upgraded or more polished version of this for the same price is pretty incredible. Now, he's only going to have 200 of these, right? Maybe he'll do some more. I sure hope he does. This is excellent. This is definitely one of the coolest knives. I mean, again, it's another titanium frame lock running on bearings, right? It's not a flipper, though. It's a thumb stud opener, which I really like. Really like how this knife looks. Really like the size. Just fantastic experience all the way around. Anything that I would nitpick, he's on top of it. Some people might not like the size. Some people might, I don't know, maybe don't like the aesthetic of it. Some people might be sick of frame locks. I would just go head over heels. Not that it has to be this way, but I would just die for an inset titanium liner lock version of this. Just gonna toss that out there. Maybe a V2, right? Maybe you make a big boy or something. I think it'd be fun. When I don't have anything to complain about, I'm like, make a bigger one. Yeah, you should make a bigger one. You should make one with a different lock, right? This is amateur critiques, right? Sure, it'd be cool for down the road. As far as this version goes, though, I think he nailed it, and he's just going to make it better for the production version. Extremely, extremely recommendable knife. The prototype was one of the best things I handled in 2021. Null Knives. Thank you so much for letting me take a look at this wonderful knife. This is right up my alley. For this size of knife, I normally like to carry a larger knife, a longer knife. As far as this size of knife goes, right? You guys know that I really liked the Dawn prototype, and I really liked the Laconico and Esprit. It's all in that territory, right? It's just another really great example of a knife that if it's gonna be in that size territory, it's gotta be spectacular. All of those were. This is definitely one of those. Really, really good. That's going to be pretty much it today. Be sure to check out Null_Knives. I'll show you guys his information one more time. Check out Null_Knives on Instagram, and make sure to check out his website, www.nullknives.com. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.